on the scratchy futon. It was a sort of off-gray color and had a rip down the side, a scar that was probably made years before the couch's final journey to the one-room apartment. The couch sat inches away from the back wall, where a lonesome Bob Marley poster hung. Only barely illuminated, he watched over the room. I'm so tired of being given standards for happiness. I turned to look at him. It was nearly midnight and we had spent our day discussing our life morals and goals. His words captured me. He spoke with importance, and I sat, saying nothing, letting the words flow effortlessly into my mind. I liked the way Jesse talked. He had a way about him that made me feel as though I was important, intelligent, and alive. His effortless hope laced in suffering was relatable. I analyzed every word as he gave his nightly speech. Society makes us believe that you need to be rich and powerful or even popular to be happy, but I honestly think that's a lie. I could live here alone in this one-room apartment for the rest of my life, but as long as I have meaning, I know I'll be happy. The words stung as they entered the air. My previous thoughts on success had just been challenged with a fate that seemed fantasized. I questioned him. Aren't you worried about what other people will think of you? Don't you want to go to college and be successful so you can prove everyone wrong? You don't need to be approved to be happy, Alyssa. You need self-worth to do that. The conversation concluded sometime around 1 a.m. when I emerged from the small one-room apartment, slid into the front seat of my burgundy Volvo, and drove silently through the night. In my mind, and in that moment, he couldn't have been more wrong. I had spent countless hours trying to calculate the benefit of going through with my assumed path to happiness, and the tipping point was always the approval of my friends, family, and the ability to come back here in 30 years and prove everyone that doubted me wrong. It all seemed worth it, until I realized, although I could come back and laugh in their faces, what would I have gained? Sure, maybe I'll have a good job, but will I have settled just to acquire some sort of revenge? Will I truly be happy when I'm 45 and all I have left are the degrees and awards I have? Happiness to me is something so much more than that. Happiness is waking up at 3 a.m. to your best friend playing some dumb reggae song, and all you have to say is, you need to point your toes when you spin. Happiness is sitting in your room, alone, laughing at your own jokes because you should probably be a comedian in your eyes. Happiness is doing what you love and not having to question whether or not people are judging you. Happiness is, in fact, relative. I didn't always believe this to be true. Not too long ago, I had a best friend. A best friend that I believed was my eternal happiness. She was beautiful, inside and out. Her mind, a collection of dreams and reality, sent her into a fantasy world that was all her own. And I bought into it. But I found myself in what she wasn't. When I was mad, she was calm. When she was distraught, I was collected. She was my world, and I was hers. I assumed that as long as I had her, I could continue to inflict myself with my previous ideals of happiness. I would continue on to college, and she would assume the role of adventurous misfit for the both of us. As long as I had her, I was going to be happy. Her name is Ellie, and I don't know where she is, or what she's doing, or even if she's alive. I never would have guessed 6 months ago that I would never speak to her again. For 5 years, she was the single reason for my assumed happiness. When we were 12, we caught frogs with our bare hands in the creek down the road. When we were 14, we went to the beach together. As we grew older, our dependency grew stronger, and my independence was non-existent. As our final months together concluded, our relationship became toxic. I found myself skipping school just to keep her company, and one day I even brought her to school with me so that she could escape the ridicule that came in parallel to her own high school issues. I based all my worth on her well-being, and I know now that she was the reason I couldn't truly think of myself as happy. Her faults became mine, and although I was following and meeting my aspirations, she was not. I didn't notice the toll she had taken on my psyche until I was sitting, alone in my room, holding an ice pack to my eyes, speckled, black and red, from my former best friend. For 4 months, I neglected my responsibilities, in school and at home. I became distant and angry with anyone that tried to question me. I'm fine, I would say. She really wasn't that great. But my grades, along with anything else, reflected otherwise. I started to believe that without her, I would never truly be happy again. Sooner or later, I had to accept her absence. But being alone was frightening, and I didn't know how to handle it. I found myself at rock bottom. I had no idea how to identify as myself, and I questioned my intentions daily. Nothing made sense. Nothing had purpose. I was simply going through the motions until I began to focus on field hockey, something that had always been a constant in my life. Then, as the lacrosse team traveled to Florida for our annual camp, something shifted in my perspective. Being around my team made me realize that Ellie simply wasn't worth my time anymore. There were so many great things I could be doing, so many important people that I had pushed away because of my obsession with my own depression. I promised myself I would never let anyone impact my happiness but me. I think about Ellie every day. But since that day with Jesse and those nights spent laughing with my Florida roommates, she no longer holds my happiness hostage. She helped manifest my thoughts on the correlation between happiness and success. They're not antonyms or synonyms, they're just words. Words that have different meanings and definitions for everyone in this room. Once I discovered my interpretation of happiness, I have never been more confident in achieving it. No one else can impact my life like I can. Not the school I go to, not my parents, my friends, my lovers, haters, or even Ellie. Because at the end of the day, you may fool the whole world down a pathway of years and get pats on the back as you pass, but your final reward will be heartache and tears if you've cheated the man in the glass.